What's up guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Jason, and in today's video we're going over the 5 basic blocks of Shotokan karate. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So starting off, you're just going to be in a relaxed stance, a natural stance. We call it shizentai in Japanese. So basically my feet are about hip width apart, and we're going to work on Age-Uke, which is rising block. So the way I like to teach it is by first crossing my elbows like this. And basically, if you imagine like a sword or axe coming down, you're blocking up top. As one hand goes up, you turn it out, and your other hand, hikite, your pullback hand, is coming back to your hip, and then we switch here. Ich, ni. So when you block, you want to make sure your shoulders are kind of slightly angled. You don't want to go all the way back, because if you do that, you're going to be out of alignment and you won't be able to focus on your opponent. So you want to have that zanshin, your awareness, boom. You see my hips turn slightly to a 45-degree angle. Same to the other side. Ich, ni, san, shi, and go. Right here. And your rising block, this hand, your forearm, it should actually be kind of slanted as well. You don't want to be totally square, hitting yourself in the head the whole time. All right, so now that you guys have the basic premise of the block from shizentai, your natural stance, we're going to be transferring that into zenkutsu-dachi, which is your front stance. And basically, if you don't have a lot of space, what you can do is just stand like so. And then what you're gonna do is drop into your stance at the same time throwing out your block. So from here, we're gonna alternate. You can go left to right or right to left. It's really up to you. So as we move, I just like to keep my hands here in a yoi position. You can go here, or whatever feels natural to you. So when I count, we're gonna compress our body and then come out into the Age-Uke and Zenkutsu-Dachi. Back up with Zanshin awareness. Other side, ich. Okay, you just want to let gravity do the work. Try not to fight the fall, okay? Just think heavy, yet think light. Okay, you want to, that's what you want to feel. Drop down right here. And then you lock everything together at the last moment. So slow. And then there should be some form of tension at the very end. So you understand there's a connection and that this is a block or even a strike. All right, so the next block we're going to be working on, it's called Soto-Uke, which means outside block. Okay, so again, we're going to start in our shizentai position, our natural stance. You can put your hands where you like, either at your waist, here, wherever. The premise of this block is that one hand is going to swing up by your ear. Other hand is going to measure the distance right here. And then from here, we're going to replace. Okay, replace. As this hand goes out, this hand pulls back to your hip for the hikite. When you want to switch sides, the hand on your hip is going to come to your ear. Okay, this hand can also be like framing, defending, measuring, calibrating the distance. From here, you're going to let gravity do the work. Fall down, use the hip, and pull back this hand for emphasis. So again, we're going ich, ni, san, shi, ich, ni, san, and shi. So again, with typically all blocks, you want to be angling your hips slightly. Again, you don't want to pull it all the way back to where you're out of alignment. Stay center and stay focused on the target. Okay, so now practicing from Zenkutsu-Dachi. So we're just going to be in shizentai here. And then again, when moving in front stance from a natural position, maintain your body upright, compress, and then let gravity do the work. Okay, so there is a subtle dropping of the weight right here. boom, and fall even more. But as you're falling, you're not dropping to the floor, okay? As you're falling, you wanna use your hip and drive off your heel right here to propel yourself. That's what we call hip. If your instructor always says more hip, this is where it comes from, the driving force and then the power transfer at this hinge over here. All right, so when we put that together, we're here, we're gonna go left side first. So if we watch my hands, boom, okay, the weight is dropping. Then I'm gonna propel myself forward, drive through my heel, knee to the hip, and project to my forearm, and finally wrist when you lock into place. Okay, so let's do a few left and right. So we're gonna go each and back up, knee, back up, sung, and yame. All right, so moving on to the next block, we're gonna do Gedan-Barai, which is downward block. So oftentimes this is usually meant for blocking or parrying kicks or even some punches to the body. If you see it in real life action, kumite or sparring, you'll see people like parrying down sometimes, and that's essentially what this block is. And now we're gonna learn the fundamental principles in how to set this up, and eventually you guys can, you know, make it your own. So starting off in our natural position, hands here, wherever you like. Basically the wind up. In the karate, Shotokan especially, we always have a compression, contraction, and expansion. So there's like oftentimes a two-step process, like an action, a reaction, okay, like a pull and a whip. So to start, one hand is gonna come by your shoulder, other hand is measuring out, just like a measuring stick, calibrating the distance, you know, block, defend, know where your partner is. So we're here, and then we're gonna slide this arm down, pull this arm back. Okay, beginners often just use their hands. You wanna feel it most with your body. So as I come up, I just wanna let the gravity do the work. Okay, if I see a kick coming at me, I don't wanna just meet it blunt force with my forearm and just lock out my elbow. Okay, I want to be able to crush it with the gravity and with my mechanics, and using the kinetic energy from, you know, the momentum and gravity all at the same time, moving that attack out of the way. So let's do a few in standing position. So we're here. You can start in this position. Ich, ni, sang, shi, go, yame. All right, so moving on to the next block, it's going to be Uchi-Uke, which is inside block. Looks similar to Soto-Uke, which is your outside, but this time you're coming from the inside, okay? Coming from the inside. So the way I was taught it is you're gonna put one hand out, and then the other hand back here is gonna come right around your rib cage over here. Okay, notice both palms are down, and from here, the expansion, I pull this hand back and then whip this hand to block. Okay, so that's a very basic way how to do it. Eventually, how I like to do it is just I cross my elbows, elbow to elbow here, okay, right around here. I don't necessarily have to touch my armpit or touch my rib cage, because to me that wastes time and it's unnecessary. So if I'm doing Uchi-Uke, this is about good. As long as my elbows are in line somewhat, then I can have a good compression and expansion here. Okay, so you can imagine maybe someone's coming at me, I block. Okay, then I redirect. Same thing you see in like Basai-dai. If you're here, boom, redirecting and shifting your body. All right, Basai-dai, 1, 2, right here. So it's the same concept, but you're doing this stationary. So ich, ni, san, shi, go. All right, so now we are gonna do this in Shizentai, our natural stance. We're gonna be flowing into it, falling into position. So just keep in mind that flowing and falling is kind of an advanced concept. You'll learn this over time, the more repetitions and time you have in your training. What I mean is, a lot of times I see people try to muscle the technique. So if we're doing Uchi-Uke, I see bring the legs together, pull out like that. Okay, they're too stiff. They're kind of fighting against gravity, fighting against the natural forces. So you kind of want to feel gravity kind of entering through the top of your skull and down your spine. Using that, it bounces through the ground and kind of propels you forward. So there's some visualization that comes with it. And again, that comes with the time in and the training, the repetitions you have. So we're gonna put this together, Uchi-Uke. We're gonna go left, then right, starting yoi, ich, come up, 2 more, ni, and san, hai. All right, so moving on to the last main block of Shotokan karate is Shuto-Uke. It is the knife hand block. Knife hand block. To me, I feel like this is the most applicable to real-time combat and sparring, because a lot of times you're not going to keep your hands clenched the whole time in doing that. So for me, this feels often the most natural. Sometimes you'll see advanced instructors with their hands open, hands somewhat loose. And this is because their tension is internally. Their tension is not externally to their extremities. They're not trying to flex their muscles as they're punching, okay? The flexion comes from inside, inner strength. So Shuto-Uke, to start doing this, we're gonna do it in our natural stance, Shizentai. And if we come a little closer, you can just put 2 hands, palms up like so, just to get in position. And then one hand kind of like comes to your ear, palm in, other hand measures out. Now, very minute detail is to have your thumb flexed inwards like so, because the act of doing this actually tenses the outer edge of your palm, which is the part that you'd be blocking with and deflecting. Okay, so if there's my hand and my thumb is just loose like this, there's no tension in my hand. It's very soft. Okay, so when I flex, you notice how everything comes together and into position. Boom, right here. So this is very important piece of Shuto-Uke. So we bring this together and then we whip out. The pullback hand hikite comes kind of by your sternum, your solar plexus. And you want to make sure your elbow is down close by your ribs. Not touching your ribs, not too far, but just where it naturally settles into position. Okay, so we go 1, everything is center. I'm looking at my target. And then come down right here. Okay, I'm still looking. You want to block like so. Boom. Okay, we're gonna come up. 1, 2. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Out. So a few more. Ich. Ni. San. Shi. All right, so finishing off the 5 blocks, we're gonna do Shuto-Uke, but this time, instead of moving into front stance, Zenkutsudachi, we're going to be moving from here to Kokutsudachi, which is back stance. And without going into too much detail, Essentially, you want to have your weight to the back instead of to the front. And that your feet, if you look at my feet, they want to be along one straight line, your heels in particular. So this heel, my front foot's pointed forward and my back foot is pointed out. So if you were to look from the top, so we're kind of looking downwards, it looks like the letter L. Okay, one's forward, one's out. And you notice my weight is not to the front. My weight is to the back, okay? Specific positioning and the details of this stance can be a little complicated if you think too much, but I find that if you simplify things, it's a lot easier. So essentially, get your feet into the letter L, push your weight to the back, and angle your shoulders slightly. You don't want to look directly like this with your shoulders right here and always looking where you're going. When you land Shuto-Uke, this is how it looks. So we're gonna start up top here. And then, like I said, we're gonna fall into position. So pick any start position, yoi here, yoi, or in this case, I'm gonna start right here. Reminds me to stay centered and aware of my opponent. So I'm gonna come in and drop down, okay? Come in and drop down. In, drop down. In. So 3 more, ready, itch. Knee. Song. Hey. So a bonus training note, if it helps you visualize it more, that hand that always goes out before you execute the block, you can think about it as a strike or even a measuring stick. Okay, with one action, you have another reaction. So in the case of like downward block, if one hand's coming up, okay, maybe someone's throwing a jab at my face, I move this, but at the same time, I'm intercepting with the technique, then I can come low with another strike. Okay, boom, I wind up again, bam, bam. Okay, same, boom, move, butt punch at the same time, boom. And then you can interchange the motion and trajectory of your blocks to different target areas. Same thing with Age-Uke, okay? Maybe I'm pushing up against the throat, one here, boom, boom. So a block is not always a block. I want you guys to keep that in mind as you continue your training. So those were the 5 blocks of Shotokan karate. That was the focus of today's lesson. Just keep in mind the gravity, falling, flowing, and that other hand that always goes out, it's a tool, a special tool that can be used for many different things. So keep those in mind as you continue your training. This is Sensei Jason signing in, signing out. Os.